Welcome to another episode of the Wild Strength Podcast. Today, my guest is Natalie Zetts, and her walk-up song is She's Country by Jason Aldean. I feel like that's such a good hunting song.
Such a complex
I would have never thought about it though.
Out in the woods.
I could play that whole song and just sit here and like freaking jam. That's been like my gym playlist recently.
It's on mine too.
Oh, so good. Anyways, I guess I have Natalie Zetts here. Natalie, I'll let you introduce yourself, tell a little bit about just who you are, what you do, anything that you want to share, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so I'm Natalie. I am a self-taught hunter in all aspects. I've grown up in Pennsylvania my whole life. Some of my extended family, my dad used to hunt, but no one in my immediate family really hunts anymore. So it was kind of something that I had no idea about. So I got into it in college, and for whatever reason, I decided to pick up a bow first. Obviously, a lot of people grow up with like deer camps in Pennsylvania and like rifle season, and I picked up a bow, and I was like, I'm going to do this the hardest way possible. And I thought it would be like, oh, a cool hobby, something I might, kind of dabble in. And then 6 years later now, it's basically consumed my entire life and my entire existence. I've done like a 360 of the things that I was interested in 6 years ago. So yeah, I just shot my first buck last year. Actually, I've shot 7 or 8 other archery deer and only 2 rifle deer. So I'm primarily a archery hunter in Pennsylvania. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. I love that. So for like reference for anyone who's listening, Natalie had reached out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, like I'm also a self-taught hunter. Like seems like we're so similar. And then we kind of just got to chatting and like we are so similar that it's kind of scary. And so we can kind of like talk a lot about that kind of stuff too. But I also decided to go the route of archery for hunting and I don't know, I've obviously never hunted in Pennsylvania, but in Texas, like if you're right, like you're hunting from a blind most times in Texas and also hunting from a feeder most times in Texas. So
Yeah.
like you might as well choose a bow because it's already pretty, I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Like if you're after a specific buck, maybe it's not nearly as easy, but if you're sitting a blind in a feeder and you sit it long enough, you're going to find a deer that you can shoot with a bow. I said what I said. Anyone from Texas can hate me, whatever. But yeah, whatever. You can hate me if you want. But I know obviously Pennsylvania, like you probably are hunting public land. A lot of the land that I hunted in Texas was private land because there's not that much public land in Texas. So I imagine have you hunted private land? Have you hunted public or like kind of what is the majority of what you do with that?
I've hunted public 95% of the time, I would say. And my parents have some land that I've maybe hunted twice and maybe one other time. And I mean, I guess it was interesting to hear you talk about Texas because I had no idea that like there wasn't a lot of public land down there. I guess I just kind of assumed because I'm so spoiled with all the land that we have in Pennsylvania, even though it's much different. There's so much public land I can drive within an hour, and there's hundreds and hundreds of acres of public land. So, and where I hunt, people don't really archery hunt. So I pretty much, like, I never run into people in the woods unless it's like rifle season. People just don't archery hunt for whatever reason.
What is the season? So I know in the Midwest, like some states don't even allow rifle hunts. Some states only have like a 1 week rifle season. So what does the season look like there?
So our archery will start October 4th and run to like the 3rd week of November, and then rifle will come in for two weeks, and it's a whole thing. It used to be Monday, like 6 years ago, like traditional Pennsylvania rifle opener, and then it went to Saturday, like right around the time that I started hunting. So all these people who have been like from the grave Pennsylvania rifle hunters are so pissed that it's changed to Saturday. I think it's Sunday this year. I think the opener is Sunday because they just passed Sunday hunting in Pennsylvania, which is like a whole other nonsense. And then after rifle, there's a break. And then after Christmas, it's archery again. And there's an extended antlerless firearms now in certain units. So
okay, yeah.
It's very confusing, and it was very confusing getting into hunting, trying to just figure out like the rules and how do you get doe tags. We used to have to mail in physical pieces of paper to get your doe tags, and now it's all online. So it's definitely not an easy process once you're looking to get into hunting.
Yeah, I think I mean, just in Texas, depending on where you're at, and maybe in Pennsylvania is similar, you see like deer that are walking on the road, right? And so I definitely
Right?
had the thought of like, oh, I see deer on the road, I can go shoot these deer like whenever I want. And like, that's not how that works, unfortunately. Like I said, especially in Texas, there's so much private land. And yeah, that's a totally like different conversation. It is very much like a pay to play game in Texas. If you don't have your own land, you've got to pay to like have a lease or like hunt someone else's land or
Mhm.
go hunt a ranch or a property. And it's just like that was a big reason I left, was because I wanted to hunt on my own time, on my own terms, and I wasn't wanting to pay like thousands of dollars to do it. So public
Right.
land was the option. And since there wasn't so much of it there, it's like, well, I need to find somewhere that has public land. And could have went to like multiple other states, but it was just like,
Hmm.
I'd been to Colorado before. I was familiar with it. I had never hunted Colorado, but I was familiar with like the state, and I was like, yeah, I'll just go somewhere that I know. And same thing, hunting has become like my entire identity ever since then.
Right? And it's like crazy how much, even trying to like explain it to my family. Like growing up, I had no interest. I was a vegetarian for like 6 years. My parents will
Really?
tell you.
Okay.
Like I'd done a 360. I used to like hate hunters. Me and my brother used to go out in our backyard and like get on the walkie talkies and like mess with people when we were kids, the people that were like hunting behind our property. And now I'm like so into hunting and they cannot understand it. And it's hard to explain it to people who like have
Yeah.
never experienced it, have never like put so much time and effort into something, like just how much it means. It's not even about like the kill. It's about everything else and like the work you put into it and the whole process. And it's just you can't explain that to some, like how do you put it into words? Like people always ask me that, those questions of like how why do you hunt? Why do you like to do this? What are you gonna do with them? Like I don't even know how to respond to that sometimes because I just don't have words.
Yeah, it's tough. I've always been, and I want to ask a little bit about, you said you were a vegetarian for a little bit, so I'm
Yeah.
curious about that. But
That's
I've
about
always been familiar with it. Like it was something like my dad and my
yeah.
grandpa did it. And I've talked about this multiple times on other podcasts, but like it was something that was in my family. I just never got to learn from them because they passed when I was really young. But a lot of my friends that I grew up with don't know me as a hunter because I didn't do it until I was out of college, and even out
Yeah.
of college for a couple of years. And so there's people I went to high school with, I went to college with, that are like, who the fuck are you? And like, what are you doing?
Right? Like, who is this person? This is not who
Yeah,
I
who is
knew
it?
10 years ago.
Right. Which is crazy that it can, I mean, and anything like, that's one thing I really like too, is you can be anyone on any given day, and that's okay, right? Like I could wake up
Yeah.
tomorrow and not be a hunter and be, I don't know, Lord knows what, right? And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But it definitely is, yeah, something that consumes my life. But yeah, I'm curious, like, what made you want to be a vegetarian, and then was hunting what switched you away from that, or did you switch away and then get into hunting? If that makes sense.
No, I mean, this was like middle school and I had a cousin who was a vegetarian. So I feel like I was kind of just copying them because they were older and I looked up to them. And I don't know, like my mom wasn't really super thrilled about hunting and a lot of the people in my family weren't very supportive of it. So I kind of just, that's the mindset that I adopted. It was never really encouraged, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really like, I went to college and I was around, like my major is ag science, so I was around a lot of people that were hunters. Ended up working with some people that were pretty big archery hunters, so I literally just bought a bow and I was like, well, maybe I'll just try this, maybe I'll just go out and sit there. Had zero idea what I was doing for those first like 2 years, I would say. But it just, I don't know, it just became like, I would say after the first like 3 years, I became pretty serious about it.
What? So now you said like at first your family like maybe wasn't really all about hunting. Are they supportive of it now?
They're very supportive now. I think at first they thought maybe this was just a phase, like you went to college and you're like experiencing different things, whatever. And now they're like, yeah, we know we're not going to see you from October till the end of January, basically. Like everyone knows I take off, use like 80% of my vacation in the fall. All my coworkers know that I'm not gonna be there And my boss actually scheduled me my on the first day of archery season, and he was like, "Don't call me out on your podcast." And I was like, "I'm definitely going to call you out on the podcast."
That's so funny. That is terrible of him. Why would you do such a
Right? Like,
thing?
why wouldn't you know the opening day of archery season? But to their defense, like most people only hunt like 2 days. Most people go out like the first two opening days, like the traditional Pennsylvania hunters, like I'm talking about. They go out, opening day, and like a few days after that and rifle, and that's it. And like that's what I knew growing up. Like people in my high
Mhm.
school would take off. Like we actually had off school those first 2 days because no one would show up. And like that's what I knew as hunting. I didn't realize there was like a whole other season of like archery. I didn't realize
Mm.
all the other things that you could do. So it's just interesting. I don't really feel like I relate to that group of people because I didn't grow up, going to camp, and like my family doesn't have a camp. I don't know people that go to camp, and that's a cool, environment to be around. It's just not what I grew up in. I've done this all by myself primarily, maybe a few other
Mm.
people on the way, but I enjoy just being out there myself, and I feel like it's much more rewarding than just like, I mean, I've had countless opportunities to go hunt on people's land, and I've always turned it down because I don't like that's too easy. Like I wanted to do it my way, no matter how long it took, and it took 5 years to shoot a buck. Um, but it felt so much better, to do it myself, to do it where I fell in love with hunting. I wanted to do it this specific, area, and I waited 5 years for that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's awesome. I'm the same. Like I've gone on a lot of like other people's hunts, but anytime it's been like
Yeah.
my tag, especially like here in Colorado or whatever, and
Hmm.
I don't ever ask people to go with me, and everyone's like, "Oh, like I would have gone," and
Right.
meh. There have been like a few times where I've asked people and they bailed, so that's also a big reason why I just stopped asking people because I don't want to give people the chance to bail on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also like I enjoy being out there, and I've even heard like I've gotten comments like, "Oh, you're crazy," from like people that I know too. It's odd that like people on social media are like so supportive of me being like a solo female hunter, but then
Yeah.
there's people that I know that are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be out there by
You
yourself," or
shouldn't be
why?
out there alone. Like, what do you
Yeah,
think is
yeah.
gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, I carry a firearm. Like, I'm more
Right.
afraid of like two-legged critters than I am four-legged critters.
Right. Like I'm not I mean, we don't have grizzly bears or anything here, but I'm not afraid of bears, or I've never seen a
Right.
mountain lion. Like these things aren't going to attack you anyway. Like maybe rare situations they'd attack people, but like you said, you're more
Yeah, I'm
afraid of the
more afraid
crazy
of like
people.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm more afraid of like crazy humans that I'm going to run into. Anytime I've like, I was actually telling my friend a story the other day. I was like out scouting for my elk tag, and I had seen on Onyx that there was like this alpine lake that was like a quarter mile away. I wasn't even heading that direction, but I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I just want to go like see the little alpine lake, whatever, just be granola for a second and like take a picture of the lake.
Yeah.
And so I like kind of went up to it, and I didn't know there was an actual like hiking trail that goes to it. So I get to it, and I'm on the complete other side of like where the hiking trail is, and there's people on the other side, and they're literally looking at me like, how the fuck did she get there? And I'm looking at them like, how the fuck are there people here? Like people, I haven't
Right.
seen humans all day. I'm like, what are you doing here? So I literally like took my little picture and like turned around and left because I'm like, I'm so way more afraid of humans than I am animals. It's not even funny.
Right. Like people are crazy. You hear so many wild stories. I'm always afraid of like people tracking me down and like figuring out where I hunt. Like I've
Mhm.
gotten more like wary of that because I mean, number one, like don't take my spots, and number two, like I don't want people to find out. Like I don't know, people are just nuts.
Yeah, no, that's a weird thing about social media too, is just the more I tell people this all the time, the more like the podcast grows, the more I hate social
Mm-hmm.
media because more
Yeah,
and more people are like, they want to know where you're at, or like the number of questions I get are like, where are you hunting? What unit are you hunting in? Like, what state are you hunting in? And I'm like, I'm not giving you that information. That's creepy.
right. I would
Why
never
are
tell
you
you.
asking?
People could like figure it out. I mean, even like my coworkers laugh because I won't even tell them where I hunt. Like there is one person that I could tell who like would know where exactly I'm at, and like maybe my parents have a rough idea, but even if I
Right.
do, something happens out there, like what are you gonna do? Like probably
Yeah,
nothing. Like I'll probably be
exactly.
dead by the time you find me if something did happen.
Yes, that's my exact thoughts. I'm like the likelihood that you get there in time if something happens is slim to none. So like
Right.
that
I'll
doesn't
die
matter what
happy.
you do. What so as far as learning, like you said, you hunt public land. As far as learning, what do the deer feed on? Where do the deer live? Where do they like to bed? How did you find that information for yourself?
I mean, first of all, people might get hurt about this, but I feel like people make deer hunting way too scientific. Like it's not that deep. It's not that deep. They're deer. And people, some of these podcasts that I like have listened to, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, just go out there and hunt. Like, go out and walk around, find the food, find like, you know, pinch points that deer are probably going to be traveling. I've always hunted like food, and
Mhm.
mine more comes from like historical data of just hunting the same spots for the past 6 years, and I know
Okay.
in my
Yep.
head like where how they act and where they go and what time of the year bucks typically, like I have a good spot that I know bucks just travel through there, and it's not a good place to shoot does. And that's because I've literally sat my ass there for like 10 days in a row every year. Like I know what they do. And like people act like deer are so predictable. I mean, humans don't do the same thing. Like we have a schedule to a point, but something might vary that we, vary from that schedule. And I feel like deer are the same way. There's so many variables, weather or food or whatever. I'm like, my advice is just go and hunt. Like just sit somewhere. People go out for like 2 days. Oh, I haven't seen any deer. But like you need like years of sitting in a spot in Pennsylvania to be able to understand how they work. And I'm sure it's different, hunting out west, but it's not. We don't have as big as area, obviously, to hunt, so it's pretty easy to like pinpoint what areas might be good to sit at.
Well, anyone that I know, I think that's funny that you say that because I would kind of agree, and just and I say that I agree because anyone that I know who's a really good hunter who successfully fills their tag year after year, whether it's elk, mule
Mm-hmm.
deer, whitetail, whatever it is that they're hunting, right? They've done the exact same thing. They have
Right.
spent their time in the woods, not filling their fucking tags, but they have figured out from watching, from scouting, from not filling their tags, from just being out there and essentially, what it comes down to is learning like whatever critter you're hunting, like learning what do they feed on. Obviously, a water source is important for all animals. So finding like water
Mm-hmm.
sources, where do they like to bed, and that varies from time of year. That varies with weather, like you said. That varies
Right.
maybe with like moon phases. Like there's so much, like you said, that like we're humans and we are so unpredictable, and these animals are so unpredictable, and even like out west, like I've gone into maybe it's an area that someone told me about that they're like, hey, I see elk here every year, and then
Mm-hmm.
like the next year I go in there and elk are nowhere to be found. So they're
Right.
not always going to be in the same locations year after year. They're not always going to do the same things, and but I think people, to your point, like people make it too scientific. I think people just really want an easy way out, right? Like people want to watch the YouTube videos, they want to listen to the podcast, they want to watch the influencers on Instagram because they want to be able to get their first ever elk tag and go fill their first ever elk tag on the first time. And like realistically, that's not how it goes for most people.
Right. And just because something works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And it doesn't, I mean, I don't think we need like all these fancy apps. Like, I mean, there's apps now that like will tell you which days you should hunt or like this. And I'm like, there's no app that's going to tell me that I should or shouldn't hunt. Like, unless it's literally downpouring or I can't get out because there's that much snow on the ground, which usually doesn't happen. Like, I'm going to hunt if I can. And
Mm-hmm.
I just it's feel like it's replacing, the woodsmanship. Like I've listened to a lot of podcasts with like the woodsmanship, and it's just I don't really summer scout a whole lot. Some people might disagree. I don't really see the point of it because they're
For
going to
sure.
change so much. Like I will scout a little bit in September, but also like I'm just not going to be out there when it's 100 degrees in July. I'm getting bit up by mosquitoes. I'm miserable. Like what is this information going to tell me in 4 months? Probably not much. I like to
Right.
scout like after Christmas when it snows and you can see like where they're bedding and where the tracks are. I find that information much more useful than summer scouting. And I mean, I will run trail cameras, and that's a big debate too. You know, if cell cameras are good or bad, and some people like hunt the cameras, and I don't. I've gotten into that mindset where I would see, you know, bucks on camera and then go to that spot and then see nothing the next day. And I've just learned to like don't just chase the trail camera pictures, like go where I historically have seen deer and not just, you know, oh, I saw a buck there last night. He's probably going to be there this morning. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So I've kind of tried to get away from that, the trail cameras in a way.
Yeah, I've never used them before, and I considered doing them this season because I've hunted over the counter elk the last 2 years, but I drew an elk tag, and I was like, man, maybe I utilize cameras like to my advantage. And I started asking a couple people who I know have used them for elk hunting out west,
Mm-hmm.
and it's exactly, especially if you're hunting like a heavily pressured unit or over the counter or whatever, like once opening day happens and pressure is on, everything changes with
Right.
where these animals are going. And now, if it's like a high point unit, not a lot of pressure,
Mm-hmm.
maybe cameras are going to be beneficial. But if you're somewhere where like a lot of other people are pushing in or there's other things that are going on, like come time for season, those cameras aren't going to make a big difference. And so one of my friends said he just likes to use them to see really just like maybe where the elk or the deer are traveling to or where they're
Yeah.
traveling from. And like he'll kind of watch it. Maybe he has them up for like a month or two and it just gives him an idea of like the direction that they're headed. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I almost never hunt where my cameras are,
Yeah.
but I will hunt near or around them based on kind of the intel that they're getting. But most people I think that use cameras will go sit where their freaking camera is, and
Yeah.
like a lot of times you don't end up seeing that deer again. There's sometimes you do, right? Like I hear people they have cameras all fucking summer of this deer, and then they go and
Yeah.
shoot that deer, and I'm like, that's freaking cool. I love that
Yeah.
for you, but like that's also not how it works for everybody.
Right. Yeah, I've never had that experience of like having my target buck or whatever. Like I'm gonna shoot whatever the heck is legal in front of my face. Like that buck, I actually did get on camera, like in late
Nice.
September and then October.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I went back and looked, and I was like, holy crap, that's my deer. But like, and I did have a camera sitting where I basically saw it all season last year. But I mean, there'd be times when the camera was there while I was sitting there, but then it's not showing you 360 degrees. Like there's deer walking behind me. There was
Mhm.
bucks that walked, you know, to the right of the camera that you're never gonna see. Like you're only seeing this little tiny area of like your whole landscape. And I feel like they can be a tool, like you said, to like see
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
deer are coming from. But like I feel like we have to get away from all the technology and just go back to like boots on the ground and like your woodsmanship and like, just getting out there. Like just go sit. Like I don't understand why people rely so much on technology.
I think that's anything in life. Like these days,
Right.
everyone wants everything to be easier and they want, which granted, like people want to be able to do more things, right? Which I
Right.
would rather, the more things that I want to do is more time in the woods.
Right.
So
Like, why
I'm
don't
going
you
to
want
go
to
spend
hunt
my time.
more? Like you should
Yeah.
want to be out there if you're so into hunting. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I would want to be there as many days as possible until I'm so tired and exhausted that I physically can't be out there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's obviously, I think it's whether it's mindset or like some people have families. I don't have
Yeah.
that issue. I don't have those obligations.
Like we don't
So,
have that issue, but
yeah.
it's like I've talked to people like that, like only have 4 days to hunt that year, and I'm like, this sucks for you. Like, I'll be out there for two
Well,
weeks straight.
yeah, and I say that a lot too. Like I get a lot of people who are whether they like how do you get to hunt as much as you do? Like do you not have a job? Like people think that like the podcast is my job. I've never made a fucking dime off of this
Right?
podcast.
Same.
Like this is not my job. It's just for fun, but I have intentionally chosen a job that gives me flexibility that is remote that like I get a decent amount of PTO, but sometimes
Yeah.
like I can work from literally anywhere as long as I'm in the United States. So like if I'm
Yeah.
flying somewhere, like I'll just work my meetings around my flights and like not have to take that day off or whatever, right? But I have intentionally put myself in a position where I have that kind of flexibility to do exactly the things that I want to do, right? So I think if you want it bad enough, if you want it with anything, right? It doesn't even have to be hunting. If there's something that you want to do badly enough, you're going to find a way to do it. And that was how I found a way to do that. And like with you, your job, it sounds like you get enough PTO and they're
Mm-hmm.
flexible in the fall that they'll let you take a week off and take time off to go hunt in the fall as much as you want. And I think you
Right.
just have to put yourself in the positions to do the things that you want to do and
Mm-hmm.
stop complaining about it.
Right. And like you said, like I don't have any responsibilities. Like it's me. And I can take 2 weeks. I don't have kids to take care of or a husband. And you know that might change someday, but right now, like that's reality. And I realize a lot of people don't have that same situation. So I'm grateful for this time that I've had and the
Right.
time that I will continue to have. Maybe that'll change. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But yeah, I mean that's my dream to have like more of a remote job and be, more flexible that I can travel. I feel like I can't really travel a whole lot with my job, but I do have the flexibility to take the time off or I will quit, as I've told them multiple times.
I don't know how badly you need me, but you better let me take today off.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like I think they realize that like either give me the time off or I'm leaving.
Which is totally fair. And I think, yeah, like you said to the point, like I don't have the family obligations. I don't have kids. I don't have someone else at home who's like waiting for me to come back in the
Right.
evenings or whatever. And so like that makes a huge difference. And I recognize that for the people who do have that. But I still also believe that like if you want something badly enough, you're going to find a way to do it. Right. And maybe that's just like
Right.
say someone's like say you live out east and a Western elk hunt is like your dream hunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to save up the money that it takes to do that. You're going to save up the PTO that it takes to do that. You're going to find someone to watch your kid. You can take for a week or two off to do that. But like, you're going to find a way to do it. And I think people just find so many excuses to not do it because it does seem hard and it does seem like it's not a tangible thing for most people. I
Yeah.
get that because even when I moved out here, I was like, oh my God, I have to have so much gear to be in the
Yeah.
mountains. And so it's
Right.
intimidating for sure. But I just think whether it takes you a year to get all that stuff, whether it takes you 5 years to get all that stuff, I just think if you want to do it, no matter what it is in life, find a way to fricking do it or don't talk about it at all. That's my
Right.
thing.
I mean, you're obviously gonna have to make sacrifices, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
like my friends and family know that like this is my time, and this is what I'm gonna be doing, and that's the sacrifice that I have to make. And like you said, like I've been preparing now. It's August, so I'm trying to get stuff done around the house I need to now because I know it's not gonna get done until the end of January. Um, because that, like I said, is just gonna consume like especially the Sunday hunting now. I'm like, well, if I can be out there in a Sunday hunting, I'm like, when am I ever going to have time? Because I feel like if there is an opportunity for me to hunt, like Sundays were my day to like reset and like get ready for the next week. Not anymore. That's out the window because now I'll be hunting 7 days a week, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, I was talking before we started that I moved, and originally I was either going to have to move in August or I was going to have to move like in the middle of hunting season, and I was like,
No,
that ain't fucking happening. We're gonna find
no,
something really quick and we're gonna move before season starts. And like I don't have everything together, but like you know what? It'll get put together in January.
it's
Because
fine. I,
that's when I'll
I,
finally have the time to do it.
right?
Did you?
Yeah,
So you came out to Colorado right before to mule deer hunt?
I did.
Am I
That was
correct? Yes.
two years ago.
Okay.
That was interesting. I
And
will
what did
say the
you
least.
do? Yeah, what'd you do to like prepare for that? Did you build points or like talk
I
more about kind of what all went into just even getting here for to start with?
Yeah, I've always wanted to go out west. I thought after
Mhm.
college that I was going to move out west because that's like a dream of a lot of people. And I'd never been out
Yeah.
there. I'd never been past Mississippi River. And I just
Okay.
randomly decided, I guess, in 2022 that like the following year I was going to go out west. Had zero idea. So I just started researching. And I thought an elk hunt was probably too far fetched with my experience. And at that point, I'd only been
Mhm.
hunting for like what 3 years, like at all. Didn't have the equipment, so I was like, well, maybe we'll do mule deer hunting. I don't know if that's easy or whatever. So I just researched like different units in Colorado. I don't even know which unit it is now. I couldn't tell you. That were like 100% draw, and I researched the like best harvest rate out of those and just picked. one of those units.
Mhm.
And then I drove across the country from Pennsylvania because that was another one of my bucket lists, was just to drive across the country, and that was quite the experience too. But I mean, going into it, I asked like some people who had been out there, like what I should be doing, and we weren't going to camp either because again, I didn't have the equipment, so we stayed in like an Airbnb. Me and my friend, who he had not been out west either ever, so we're both just clueless at this point. So I just had like Onyx pins, and it was just like a complete shock to me. Like everything is so different out there that
Mhm.
I didn't even know what to do. And the people that we were staying with, like the guy was a hunter, so he was giving us, advice of where to go. At one point, we parked on like Interstate I-70 and like jumped some fences because this guy told us that like people do that. I don't know if that's true or not, but like we went back in these like, I guess it's sage, like it's mostly like sage brushy area. I don't think we were up high
Mhm.
enough because this was what, middle end of October. So I guess they
Okay, yeah.
probably hadn't come down to that elevation at this point. We saw elk, and then we just like drove around and we saw all the mule deer on or private land, of course, like all the
Yep.
ranches and all of that, which it was cool to at least see something. And there was a spike that I almost got a shot at, and I would have 100% shot that spike.
Mhm.
But it was different. And then the one day it like snowed overnight, and we woke up and there was like 6 inches of snow. And I was like, well, we're gonna go out. Like we're gonna whatever. Like we're here, and we got out there, and nobody else was out. So maybe that should have been like my indication of like don't go down these roads. And the snow melted, and I like the roads. They're not like here. Like they're like clay and like so slippery
Yep.
that I almost drove off the side of a cliff, and I was so terrified. Like my whole truck is just like sliding because like the road is
Uh,
just like so slick. And that
yeah.
was just the time that I'm like, yep, I think we're done until this dries up. But it was like 6 feet of not 6 feet of snow, 6 inches of snow. It dried up and turned to like this washout. It was like so many different things happened within like 48 hours. It was the wildest. Then I got sunburned from the snow because I was walking all day.
Yep.
I was like, what
Uh-huh.
is happening? But it was an interesting experience. I would like
Yeah,
probably to go back with someone that knows what they're doing because
for
we were
sure.
both just like, and it's hard to like drive there every day too because I have no idea like where I'm walking in, what I should be looking for, or I mean, basically just turn into a big trip of driving around and trying to scout from the road. But I mean, it was cool. But I think there's a reason for everything. I guess I was meant to shoot my first buck here in Pennsylvania, and it worked out the
Mhm.
next year. But maybe at some point I'll go back, and I'm sure there are different areas that are less. I just feel like maybe that unit was not very great. I don't know.
Well, like you said in Pennsylvania, like you got a buck by spending time in the woods in
Yeah.
places that you were familiar with, getting to know the what whitetail do in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to a completely different state and a completely different temperament and a completely different climate, hunting a completely different animal. It's still a
Right.
deer, yes, but it's a mule deer and they live in different terrain. And so it's same, you just have to spend the time out there. Like same thing with elk. Like the first season I hunted elk and I'm out there by myself, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm out here and I'm trying to figure it out. And then like I'd be the happiest person in the world because I'd like come across a game trail and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting close to something. Like there's a game trail, or I'd see like shit and it'd be like a month or so old. And I'm like, oh my God, they've been here before. Like they're not here right now, but they've been here before. Like it's just the
Yeah.
little things. And like I tell people that all the time is like, I also get questions. I'm like, go like, how do you keep going back? Because you get the people who come out, they come out on the first elk hunt, they never see elk, they never kill elk, and they never come back again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, one, I know they're there. I've seen them. It's not that I've never seen them before.
Yeah.
But I like, I also enjoy, and you mentioned this earlier, like I enjoy a freaking good challenge. And like
Yeah.
for me, the fun is like, man, when I finally put one down, like all the work, whether, who knows, this year, next year, whenever it happens, like all the work that I've put into just figuring out how to hunt elk and then
Right.
finally getting the opportunity to shoot one is going to be so freaking worth it. But it's once again, it's time. It's putting the time and effort into figuring out where do they live? What do they do? And now I find myself at times like I'll be somewhere and I'm like, man, if I was a fucking elk, like this is where I would be. Like, why
Where
are
are
they?
you?
Where are you?
Why aren't you
And
here?
yeah, why aren't you here? Because it's like I'm not, by no means do I know everything, right? Like if someone was new coming out elk hunting, I would be like, you know what, I'm not the first person to ask if I were you. Like
Like, I
I'm
don't know
gonna
jack
direct you.
shit.
Yeah. I'm like I'm still gonna direct you somewhere else, but I know enough to like I've got out scouting and I've seen elk and I've like been able to go on Onyx and look at areas and like, oh, this looks like an area that maybe like elk would be, and so like from a beginner's perspective, I feel like I've learned a lot, but by no means do I feel like I don't even like calling myself an elk hunter because I'm like
Right.
I've not even like killed one before. I'm still figuring it out.
Right.
But yeah, I just think that like those moving out west was it's intimidating for sure. I had no clue what I was doing. But for the people who come out here for the first time, it's hard. I hear it all the
Yeah.
time that people are like, "Yeah, I don't get how people do that." But I also think where social media ruins things is you have the people who yes, maybe they're killing year after year after year, but
Hmm.
you don't see the 10 years they put in before that where they didn't kill anything. And they also don't
Right.
talk about that because they don't want people to know about that. But then you get the one person who's genuine and they're on a podcast and they're like, I remember last year's my first year archery antelope hunting ever.
Hmm.
So much fun, the most fun I've ever had hunting. I got out again this year for opening weekend and I love it. I'll hunt archery, I'll hunt antelope with a bow as long as Colorado has an over the counter tag. But someone that was like I'm blanking on exactly who it was, but they're like a popular Instagram hunter said it took them 7 years to harvest an antelope with a bow.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm so glad that you said that because that's real. Like that's just what happens. That's how hunting is. Not everyone's successful in the first time.
Right. I feel like it's so, like you said before. I mean, I've heard this before. It's like hunt your own hunt. Like, who the heck cares what
Yeah.
anybody else is doing? Like, just if it makes you happy, like, I would have been 100% happy to shoot my 4 does last year. Like, I loved to eat them, I love to process it. I love just being out there. But, like you said, social media makes it look so easy. Even in Pennsylvania, like, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
like there are people that claim to be these big public land hunters, and you know for a fact they're hunting public land, or I mean private land, and like you probably have resources and things like that. And you see with elk hunting, like it takes 7 years, like you said. Like people just need to be more realistic and honest with people because it's not that simple. Like, and that's what I'm trying to be with my like social media, is just like open and honest with my YouTube videos. Like most
Mm-hmm.
times you're not going to come out with anything. Like most times there's going to be times you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be, mentally and physically exhausted. And like nobody ever shows that side. You just want to show like all the harvest. Look what I did. Like if that's all you're here for is just to like kill, 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 like you're not a true hunter. Like I'm sorry. Like that's not what this is about. And like you're just here for the likes or the follows or the fame. And I can't relate to that.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. And that was one of the things you said too, like when you had first reached out, is like, I
Yeah.
just, the social media, because, and you could talk about this a little bit too if you want to. You had mentioned that you deleted your social media for like a
Yeah.
year because you were
Yeah.
just like, I was so over it. I was overseeing like all the like
Hmm.
unrealistic stuff. And I think for me, like what I've done, and someone even asked me today, like they had just started their own podcast and they were like, is having a podcast always this defeating? And I was like, look, you just, I'm like, you can't, like, I don't pay, I have no clue how many listens I get. I have no clue how many people follow the pod. Like, what, I don't pay
Yeah.
attention to that. Once the okayest hunter took it over, I'm like, I don't want to know my analytics. I don't care to know my numbers. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not in the business of numbers here. I'm in the business of like, one, it's not even a business. Two, I just like doing this. I like talking to people. I like meeting people. It's been a
Right.
really cool freaking way to like meet and connect with people. And like, who knows? I probably would have never got to connect with you if it wasn't for having a podcast, right? And so
Right.
for me, that's all that it is. And I think when it becomes a numbers game, when it becomes a popularity game, when it becomes,
Hmm.
excuse my language, a fucking dick measuring contest between who can get the biggest deer,
So true. So true.
then it's like what is it's not worth it anymore to me. And
It's
like
not. Yeah.
I hate when that's what it becomes. But yeah, I guess speak a little bit about like, and I
Yeah.
talk all the time on this podcast about how much I hate social media. So
Oh, me
you can
too.
just go
Me
off.
too.
You can go off if you want to.
I, yeah, I mean, I don't. even know why I started doing YouTube videos. It was,
Mhm.
I don't know, like I was just sitting in a tree one day and I was like, I'm just gonna record my thoughts. Like I used to be really big into journaling. I used to make
Yeah.
like just funny videos with my friends growing up. So I always liked like the editing aspect of that. And I just like started filming my thoughts and like what I was seeing out there. And this is by no means like high quality shit. This is like my iPhone 12 and
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea. Like there was no. I had a GoPro. I have like 10-year-old GoPro or whatever that I have mounted on my bow. So I've actually gotten a lot of my kill shots, on camera now. But
Nice. Yeah.
um, so I just started doing it for myself, and like I will sit here in my living room and rewatch. Like I've rewatched my hunt so many times. Like I would never if I didn't film that, like, yeah, you have it like in your memories, in your mind, but like to actually see like and watch those moments over again, like
Mhm.
you can't put a price on that. You can't put, that into words. And yeah, I did take a break from, I was still filming like YouTube videos, I guess. I didn't film a lot last fall. Like I didn't really film much of my buck. I got like the shot on camera and then I didn't really film much after that because I was just like, I just want to enjoy this day. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to have to be here like filming and like I just wanted to be in the moment. But I deleted my Instagram last summer because we've talked about this before. A lot of like these women on Instagram that are just like either using their bodies or like using this to just gain likes and you don't actually do anything behind the scenes or like your boyfriend does everything for you and I'm this big hunter now because I met this guy and he's a hunter and now I like it because I realized if I shake my ass on Instagram with a buck then I'm gonna get likes and follows. And that will absolutely never be me. I will delete all social media before that becomes me. So I just got to the point of like, this is stupid, and I deleted it. I didn't even think about it. I don't even know why I thought to
Mhm.
get back on. And like honestly, I downloaded Instagram and I had been watching the OKS Hunter on Facebook, and somehow I
Mhm.
found your podcast. You're like one of the first people that I connected back with when I downloaded
Yeah.
Instagram. And I was like, well, maybe this is a reason. Like there are genuine people, so it gave me hope of like there are real people out
Yeah.
there that are relatable, and I can do it for them and just like unfollow these people who are fake and annoying and just doing it for likes. And I hope, like I said with you, I'm like I can just tell that you're genuine, you have a passion for it, and I hope people they can see the same thing
Mhm.
about me. Um, but yeah, I hate social media, and I do not have a following by any means, but like even when like some of my videos started blowing up to like a couple thousand views, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like people are gonna know me, people are gonna find me, or people are gonna like I don't want that. Like I just want to mind my business and like do my thing, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that like someone out there is inspired to hunt or like do something. Like even if
Mhm.
your passion is not hunting, like I can't relate to people who don't have any passions in life. I don't care if your passion is reading books or
Mm.
running or freaking basket weaving. I don't care what the heck you like to do, but like do something that makes you excited. And like
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
mic drop. Like I don't know what it took me
Yeah.
so long in life to like find what my passion was,
Yeah.
and
Same.
now that I have it, like you know, it's just sometimes it's just so hard to know what you do like to do when you're younger until you like get out there and start
Mhm.
experiencing things. But I just the whole social media thing is just so dumb, like you said. But then like people like this make it worth it. So I go back and forth all the time of like, should I try more? Or should I put out more content? But I don't want it to the point where like I know we've talked about that where you're like only doing things to make content. You're like, I
Right.
do a lot of
Yeah.
things. I don't post about everything. I don't need to post everything in my life. There's a lot of things people don't see, which I'm sure you can relate to
Mhm.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like there's two sides of this, and I go back and forth all the time. Of like, what's the better to do?
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said. One, especially with the like, if find a passion in life and fucking go after it.
Right?
Doesn't
Just
have to
do
be
fucking
hunting,
something.
but
Like,
like, it's so fucking cool to me to watch people be passionate about something.
yeah,
Like when you, even if I like meet someone on an airplane, right, and they're
yeah,
talking to me about like their job or some like craft
yeah,
that they're doing or whatever. Like it's so, this is like is like my soft spot, is like when people
Yeah.
just like get so into something. I love nothing more than like listening to them hear about this thing
Right.
that they love so much. And I'm like, yes, tell me more, tell me more. I want to hear all about it. So I agree with that. But also, yeah, the social media thing is like a double-edged sword in the sense that yeah, it's I don't care to be known. This is not why
Right.
I do this. Like it freaks me the fuck out if I go like to the archery range and someone's like, "Oh, hey, you're Whitney. I've seen you on this or I've seen you on that." And I'm like,
No, you haven't.
"No,
Like,
no,
that's not
no, you
me.
haven't. Not me, wrong person." Like it freaks me
Right.
the fuck out.
I
But I get,
know.
yeah, people like you or people who reach out and they're like, hey, you know what? You really helped me do this, or like you really inspired me to do this, or I learned something
Mhm.
that you said about this. And I think it really never was a numbers game for me. I think when I first started the podcast, I would look every now and then I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to see those numbers. So then I would kind of like just I would just stop looking at it. But you had mentioned like you started filming your hunts for you, right? And like you
Yeah.
like to go back and watch them and all this stuff. And I actually have my buddy Dylan Dietz, great guy. He's the one I was talking about that just started his podcast recently.
Hmm.
And he talked, I had him on my podcast and he talked about how he does a hunting journal, which I
Oh,
was not familiar with until like maybe right before he talked about that. Someone else told me that they do a hunting journal. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And it's really just each
yeah.
day that they go out, they like put the date down, like what did they see, where were they, what was the weather like, what was the
Hmm.
moon like that day, like how were the animals moving, blah blah blah. And then also like any thoughts that they had while they were out there, whether it's like thoughts about life, thoughts about hunting, thoughts about whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think that's super cool. And I kind of, in a way, without knowing I was doing that, have been doing that this entire time. If you go back through like all the videos and photos on my phone, I have so many video, like I'll stop and if I like I always have these like I call them like this overwhelming like moment that like something comes over me every time that I'm in nature or in the mountains or in the woods or whatever, and I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I
Yeah.
stop and I just record and I like have a conversation with myself. And I've never posted like any of those before. And so I was telling him that I was like, I actually have like quite a few videos on my phone that like I've never posted anywhere that are me. I'm talking to myself and I'm just like having a moment. And he was like, I think that'd be really cool to share those moments with people. Like, I think
Hmm.
people would really like to see that kind of stuff. And I've started sharing like some of the ones I've been posting recently are just dumb ones because I'll also record myself saying and doing dumb shit because I'm just a silly goose. I just like to say dumb things,
Yeah.
but so I've like posted some of those, but I have like there was one last year where I left camp bawling my eyes out because I had a bear tag and I had like just come up on this one camp of a family who had hunted that spot for over 20 years.
Hmm.
And I wasn't like looking to interrupt their camp. I wasn't looking to do anything. And they were like, you're more than welcome to camp here. Like, we'll feed you, whatever. I'm like, no, no, no. Like, I got camp stuff. I got food. And they're like, no, like, you're trying to fill your bear tag. We've hunted here 20 plus years. Like, we want to help you, blah, blah, blah. So they let me camp with them. They let me borrow one of their four-wheelers. Like on opening day, one of the guys shot a bear, so he let me sit his spot that he has sat for years. And he
Wow.
was like, you know what, like as long as you don't ever come back to the spot like on your own, like if you ask first, like you know where the spot is, blah blah blah. So I left that week and like I'm pulling, like I didn't have service all fucking week. I like pull out of the like right back into service and I just start bawling because I'm like holding back tears the whole time I'm leaving camp because I don't want these people to see me cry. And then I just like I recorded myself. Like I was like, you know what? Like I never thought I'd be the fucking person who's sitting here crying to the camera. But like
Right.
it was just a moment of like, what did I do to deserve such nice people like giving me their four wheeler and helping me and blah blah blah. But like I have moments like that I've just never posted, and they're for me. I go back and I watch them, and I remember how I felt in the moment of that hunt, and I think it's really cool when people can do it for that reason, right? Like, and then maybe one day I'll share it, maybe one day I don't, but. I
Right.
think when, like you said, you like to record it for yourself. And I think as you continue to put those out, if that's your motivation, then that's probably, it's the slowest way to growth, right? But like it's the most
Mhm.
consistent way to growth.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I do do similar things to like what you're saying. Like, I will, everything that I post in my videos is not something that I record. I keep a a note in my phone too. I wanted to like keep track of how many hours that I hunt, and like you said, I'll put like the date, and like I saw 4 squirrels, I saw this doe, and like this is how many hours I hunted, and it's just kind of like a nice mental note at the end of the season to go back and be like, well, I hunted 150 hours. What am I using this information for? I don't know. I guess myself. I don't know. Um, but I
Yeah.
mean, I like to talk about just like the raw emotions that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even know how to like put it into words to like tell you and tell other people, but like you know what I'm talking about. Like it's
Yeah,
just like
exactly. Yeah.
the long walks. I mean, I know Pennsylvania is obviously different because like I'll walk in the morning and typically stay there until lunchtime, and I can come out like for a few hours and then go back in. But even just like, those people think, oh, you're probably so scared to walk in the dark. I'm like, no. Like, these are like the most peaceful times. Like, have you ever just been in the woods in the dark? And like, I don't use a headlamp. I can see better without a headlamp in the woods than I do with a headlamp. Like once your eyes adjust, like it's just
Right.
so
Yeah.
cool of like that like blue gray light right before sunlight, and just like sitting there in the silence, and like everything just starts to wake up, and you'll hear like a squirrel, and you'll hear like just like the birds starting. Like how many people can
I
say they've
love that. Yeah.
experienced that? Like I just
Yeah.
like sitting in your stand watching the sun go down, and you get down, you walk back to your truck after like a long day, and just something. It's most of the time you come out empty handed. But like I mean, there have been times where like there was a
Yeah.
time last year where I talk about this in one of my videos, but there was this big, huge doe that I had been watching, and I missed her multiple times. I think 2 times, and then I passed on her. And the night I passed on her was the night, I don't know, something just told me like, don't shoot that deer. Like turn around, don't shoot that deer. I just heard this so clearly in my head, and I didn't. I was like full draw on her, drew my bow back, turned around, and there were like 2 bucks off in the distance, and I just hit my wind chimes out in the distance, and then I ended up missing one of those deer. But like I would have never seen those deer if I wouldn't have like turned around. But anyways,
Mm.
that's not part of the story. The part of the story is this doe had like 2 little yearlings, or maybe like that year's fawn with her. And I was like, I can't shoot them. I was like, I still have a heart. I felt too bad. So I passed on her like 2 times, and then a third time, they came like directly out of the tree line at me, 5 yards, and I'm drawn back. I didn't even think. I just like reacted because like she's right there, and that's what's so cool about archery. Like these deer don't know you're here. Like you're 5 yards from them in their house, and that just like gets your blood pumping. Like I shake so bad. Like I shake to the point where like you can't even draw your bow back. Like it's like the hardest thing in the world just to like, and I'm sitting there like this, like trying to just like find an angle that I can use whatever little strength I have left to draw my freaking bow back. And I just like drew back on her and shot her, and I was just like, what did I just do? I like immediately call my best friend. I'm like bawling. I was like, I just shot a deer. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just shot a deer to that 2 little babies. And she's like, Nat, it's fine. And it was just like real moments. Like we still have emotions. We don't like people think we like hate animals or like we hate deer. We just want to kill everything. I'm like, no, like, and when I eventually found her, I was like, I always just like, thank God for like this harvest and like everything. Like I'm not out here to like just maliciously kill things. Like I'm so thankful for all
Mm.
these opportunities. And I mean, even like when I shot my buck, I was just like in shock. Like I was like weirdly calm though. Like I feel
Mm.
like it was just almost too perfect. Like I wasn't even really shaking. I just drew my bow back, and again I just reacted. And after the fact, you're like, what did I just do? Like I just shot a buck. I know he's dead. Like I saw him go down 50 yards, and you're just like crying, and you're like, then you start shaking. Then I started shaking, and I'm like, I can't even get down right now because I am like the adrenaline just like rushes over
Yeah.
you. And I went
Yeah.
down, and I'm like, again looking over, like this is 5 years of hard work that I put in. I didn't ask
Mm.
for anybody's freaking help. I didn't take the handouts that I could have taken, because I'm a woman. A lot of the times, that people like men offered, help you learn how to
Yep.
hunt, which that's a whole
Mm-hmm.
nother story that we've talked
Don't I
about.
know?
But I just like stood over it. I just like fell to the ground, and I was like, like I don't have any words right now to describe like this
Mm-hmm.
feeling. It's just like so many emotions that go over you.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I cried the first deer that I shot, and I just kind of stood over it like, what did I just do?
What did I do?
Like, I just took an animal's life, like
Right? It's like the
understanding
weirdest
that
feeling.
it was gonna feed me and provide for me and all of that stuff, but it
Right.
was still like, oh my god, what did I do? This like somber feeling came over me, and now with like any bigger game like deer or anything like that, I still have a similar. Like I'm not someone who's like, fuck yeah, I shot a deer. Like that's not
No.
me. It's very much like a okay, like okay, like now the work begins. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand like what this is. I understand the food that this is going to provide for me. I'm grateful for the food and for the nourishment that this animal is providing for me. I will say though, when it comes to small game, I don't give a rat's ass. I will shoot all the squirrels. I will shoot all the
I love
rabbits.
squirrel hunting. People think
Yeah.
I'm crazy. They're like, "Why do you hunt that?" I'm like, "Because I freaking hate them, and they just make me so mad." But I like also they're cute, but also like I hate you, but also like I'm gonna eat you. Like there's just so many emotions.
I went where I go antelope hunting. There's prairie dogs,
Oh, you can do
jackrabbits.
prairie dogs?
Well, they're fun.
I didn't know people shot fucking prairie dogs. You eat
They're like a
them?
nuisance. No, no, you can like they're probably so disease ridden, but they're like a nuisance. Like they ruin the land out there. It's like coyote
That's so
hunting, but
funny.
little smaller things.
Oh my gosh,
There's
that is
coyotes, prairie
hilarious.
dogs, and jackrabbits, and I the jackrabbits are huge out there. I definitely sent an arrow at a rabbit twice, but both of them were like 60 plus yards away, and my I was hitting left like both times, and that was just because I knew I was hitting left, and I didn't make the adjustment before I left for the hunt. But like small game, I'll fucking send anything at. I have no remorse when it comes to small game, but like a deer or bigger, I'm definitely like, man, that was tough. Like there's not this like excitement, and I mean, I'm excited, yes, but it's also like I for a while too, like I felt weird about like people call it the grip and grins. Like you're sitting there smiling with a dead animal. Like I felt weird about that at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, like this is weird to me. Like, what am I doing? What do I do with my hands? This is weird to
Right.
me. I
Yeah.
don't feel any type of way about it now, but I definitely like it's less I don't want to say less exciting because there is excitement there, but it's definitely more of like a somber feeling when I shoot something for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just like the gratitude and like you said, the somber and like just all the emotions. Like I feel like people have a very weird mindset sometimes of like why people hunt and until
Mhm.
you get to know it. And like I had that mindset. I was like you
Yeah.
people are just killers and like you don't realize like either I shoot you and I eat you or you're gonna get hit by a car most likely. And like I would I would rather know like I shot this and I put in the time and I know where my
Yeah.
meat's coming from. Like that's the majority of what I eat. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I don't really buy beef. Like I eat venison and I buy
Mhm.
chicken and like fish,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
I genuinely enjoy like making things out of it and
Mhm.
I enjoy the whole process. Like I said, I butcher it myself. I field dress it and just pack it out. I don't want to take anything to the processors. I just do everything myself and that whole process. Like I don't know, maybe that sounds weird, but I just love like cutting up a deer and like knowing like
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah.
part of this whole process from like the scouting to the hunting to the kill to the to the everything after that. Like you said, like after you kill it, like that's only like step two. Then you got like all this other crap you got to do after that, and like people don't realize like the hours and like how just like exhausting it is after all of them. I'm sure for you because you're hiking in way farther than I am. I can see like the main freaking road sometimes, but it's
I
just
wish.
like I just love like the whole process of it.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think too the like yeah, just I've started to learn how to process my own animals only because I had a really last year I had two deer that I got in Texas that I put in a freezer. I drove up to Colorado and I just didn't have
Yeah.
time. And so I took them to a processor and I get it back and I'm like, there's no way this is 2 deers worth of meat. There were two back straps and one tenderloin for two
You're like,
deer.
sure
And I
about
was like,
that?
this seems
Nothing
a little
right.
off. Yeah, something's missing here.
This
And so, of
isn't
course, they
it.
like apologized or whatever. But I'm like, all right, that's the last time I fucking do that. I will
Right.
find the time. I don't care how much time I don't have. I will find the fucking time to do it
Right.
on my own because after that, like, I was just so frustrated. But I think yeah, it's the hunt itself, getting out there, finding the animal, the shot on
Mhm.
the animal, the successful shot on the animal, because there are times where sometimes you take a shot and either it's a miss or maybe you just wounded it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then skinning it, field dressing it, bringing it home, and then finally like making a meal out of it. Like it's just such a cool experience to sit there and eat something and know that like you did that for yourself. And I don't know that there's ever anything that tops that feeling for me.
No, I mean, I feel like it's just human instinct too to like want to hunt and like provide for yourself. And like maybe that's a very masculine view of the world. I don't know. But I don't really give a shit because this is when people have a problem with that, and that's their own problem.
And that like I think and I like hunting because of it, like a part of me like getting back to like primal and who we are as humans and like
Right.
the two things on this planet, and for anyone who doesn't want to hear this, whatever, the two things on this planet that are the most primal things that human do are sex and hunt.
Yeah.
And like those are primal human instincts. We want to kill things to feed ourselves, and we want to reproduce and do the things that reproduce with other people. And so
Right.
it's like that's what I'm most drawn to. That's what makes me feel most alive. That's what makes me feel most
Hmm.
human. And so like going out in the elements and doing those things, like that's what I'm going to continue to do because that's what makes me feel the most alive. And I highly recommend anyone who doesn't spend that much time outdoors, you don't have to be hunting. Go
Right.
spend some time outdoors and tell me how much better your mental health feels after
Mm,
you do it.
probably significantly better.
Because it has been a huge game changer for me for that perspective too.
Right. No, for sure.
Well, cool. We're coming up on an hour here, or maybe we're just over. And I always end my episodes asking, what does wild strength mean to you, or what comes to mind when you think of wild strength?
Ooh, wild strength. I didn't think
It's
about that.
like a play on words of the podcast.
I feel like it's just when I think of wild strength being a strong woodsman, I want to go back to that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and being, strong enough in your ability to navigate the woods and navigate your hunt to
Mm-hmm.
feel like an accomplished hunter, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like I said, it just all, for me, it all goes back to like the woodsmanship and being, a strong willed person. I feel like I am a very
Yeah.
strong willed person and I will do whatever it possibly is necessary to, harvest these animals. And you have to have a strong physically and mentally because this is physically and mentally challenging and exhausting and like it's so unpredictable. Like I said, as much as people like to predict, these whitetails, they're not like they're deer at the end of the day. And a lot of it is like luck, being in the right place at the right time. And a lot of it is
Mm-hmm.
just being so persistent and just getting out there like year after
Yeah.
year after year.
Yeah, I like that. I couldn't agree more. If people want to find you, even though we talked about how much we don't like to be found, where where can they find you and ask questions?
Well, for now, I'm still on Instagram at Natalie Zetts. My YouTube is Life of a Nat, and those are two of my primarily social media for now.